Hey everyone, welcome back to DSA. Today we're going to do a live first look reaction at Guest Gaming's September fall tier list, and I've not watched this at all, so let's jump in and see what happens. Could be great, could be a train wreck, who knows.
Been 4 months? Yeah, I think this is overdue. Welcome on in, everyone. For those who do not know, my name is Guest, also known as It's Guest Gaming, here on YouTube and live on Twitch. And today, the really long overdue September 2022 tier list for Disney Sorcerer's Arena is now here. Chances are, if you're watching
Unless you got a Batman shirt on. It's just really.
this video, you've watched a lot of these in the past few years. And if you're newer here into the community, I greatly appreciate you coming on down.
I'm not new.
Like button and subscribing.
Been here the whole time, guy.
Continue more content for Disney Sorcerer's Arena. However, with 160.
If you didn't know, he does content for Disney Sorcerer Arena. I mean, if you didn't know, I'm just trying to let you know. He does content.
Plus characters in the game. The way that tier lists have been done in the past really is expired. We're gonna have to expedite this because nobody wants to be talking about 160 characters for 160 minutes. So we're gonna skip right ahead and go into talking about the changes that has happened over the last few months, including how the tier list is now being made. First off, because the roster is so big, the resource gaining events and how much resource you're going to obtain from these events, those are starting to weigh a little bit higher because it is a very daunting task to farm large groups of characters if you're a brand new player, or if you're a long-time player, knowing that these events.
He's not saying anything that I didn't say previously. If you're new, it's really hard. You just gotta pick a lane. And for my money, I think the lane that you should pick is Alice. Just saying.
Events are going to capitalize the most when it comes to things like essences or ascension, etc. We also raised the value of PvP because of what we saw from the road ahead that DSA posted a few weeks ago, that they are looking to build more on that PvP structure. PvP is going to be the bigger focus of the game in the near future, so I pushed that up in the ranking also. Hopefully we gain resources from them too, just like we do expeditions, where I gave that a little bit of a bump. Some of the events have been retired. We've had new events.
So it's really interesting that he has Ascension above PvP. You need to keep that in mind. That he has Ascension above PvP. So he's got what was it? I gotta go back. I missed it. We're gonna go back real quick. So he has resources. So he doesn't have raid up here. He has resource gain events. Then he has Ascension. Then he has PvP. Then Club Expeditions. So interesting.
Some of the events have been retired. We've had new events and new sub factions, and put it all together, and this is what you get here in the C, D, and F tiers. Not much has shifted. You might have a couple of characters that have moved up, maybe.
So let's talk about this real quick. Dwarves, you see, like I talked about in Gaza's tier list, I recommended you all go watch. He's got the dwarf in the bottom, and Guest is no exception. He has the worst tune in the game, being Dale, then Jangles, then Random Dwarf, then Cogsworth, then what's his name? I have no idea. Hermes, Jesse, who's not great. Then another Random Dwarf, then Mrs. Potts, who you need for Beauty and the Beast and Maleficent. Then Finn, who you need for Rapunzel. Then Gizmoduck, not really much shock. Then Steamboat Mickey. Then another Random Dwarf. Then Goofy, which is, mildly surprising. Random Dwarf. Then King Candy, which is a little surprising. Then Pluto again. Not really surprised that Smee's down here. Random Dwarf. Pete is good. A little surprised that he's this low, but I get it. Because I think Phil is worse than Pete. Lumiere, Madame Mim, who I think is a little bit better, which is interesting. Manticore's this far down. That's a little surprising. Gaston's this far down. Shank, I think Shank is a little bit better. I think Shank is better than Aladdin. But I get it. You need Aladdin for the dwarves. I've heard that Winnie the Pooh is hot garbage, which is really interesting. It's really surprising that Krill is this far down. Horn King is this far down, and that Pasha is this far down. That's a lot. Very surprising. Maximus, that feels about right for him. Mickey, I think, should be a little higher. I'm a little surprised that Rafiki's this low. A little surprised that Buzz is this low. Scar, Mordu. I mean, some of these are understandable, but some years, I feel like Cusco is worse than Pasha, so I don't really understand it. But maybe he knows something that I don't. The fact that Sally's this low is a little surprising, honestly. I think Sally's a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, just, you can figure it out for yourself.
A half a rank, which might have pushed them into the C tier from the D tier, etc. So let's focus on the new characters that have come into the game since May. You see down here in the D tier, we've got Winnie the Pooh, and he really is the worst of the bunch. He's a defensive-focused character.
So he's got Winnie the Pooh here in D, and if you watch Gaza, if you watch Gaza's tier list that I told you about, he said that Eeyore was the worst of the bunch. He said that Winnie the Pooh was the next worst. So I'm a little surprised at this, that he's got Winnie the Pooh this low, and that he doesn't have Eeyore this low, which is, I don't know.
One, doesn't work right. Two, the actual kit itself doesn't speak to Mega leadership, and not just because he has one that does very mild support. I'm talking in the sense of what he does for everybody else. But to really make him work, he has to be used in a Winnie the Pooh trio with Honeypot in a defensive situation. So, you know what? I'm sorry. Winnie the Pooh, you are what you are. You are your name. Mad Hatter and March Hare, they will start off here in the C+ tier, just barely hanging out
outside
of the B tier, because they can be replaced. If you're looking at the premier characters that came in from the Alice in Wonderland Legendary set, they work very well together. However, they have to be that also. They have to be together. And when you have a reliant synergy, it is going to weigh you down, as we just talked about. Couple it with the fact that they are a mythical duo, and that is the faction that is least used. Honestly, it puts them down, to my opinion, where they perfectly belong. You have the option to use them, and if you use them and you bolster into them, they're going to do pretty good. They're not going to be game-breaking, but they're going to do pretty good. Now, I know there are a couple of very specific characters also down here that really shine in very specific game modes. Take a look at Shank and Sally in Raids, or Big Baby in Ascension. These are mandatory, awesome, great characters in those specific instances. So they scored 9 or a 10 in those, but everywhere else, they're just not up to snuff. So it keeps them weighed down. Overall.
He's admitting Shank is like I'll admit that Shank is not great. But just because she's so vital for that raid team, to me, I think that puts her in at least C tier. Maybe I need to do a little bit more work with Big Baby to see how good he is in Ascension. Turn up the volume a little bit so we can hear more clearly.
Well, the C, D, and F tiers are just okay. In the B tier and the B+ tier, all of these can be a star in a specific game mode, not just.
So that's good. So he's got Doc up here. He's got Doc, which I don't know where Doc is, because I think Doc is the worst summoner chosen, and he's got Summoner chosen like the Horn King below him, and Sally below him, and I don't. Maybe he's gonna say so to change my mind, but I doubt it. We all know that Tigger belongs there. Eeyore, I don't get that, but maybe he'll talk about that here in a little bit. He's got Goliath feels about right. Dan feels about right. Chunk feels low. Chunk feels way low to me, actually. Socks. I'll be honest, I don't know enough about Socks. Powerline, I've heard really good things about. The fact that Jack is here is a little, I don't know. And then you look at some of the B+. He's got Christoph, which I don't know. Eric, I don't know that I agree with that. Jafar, okay.
good in a specific game mode. We see our first appearances of characters from the Lightyear franchise and from a Goofy movie, and honestly, I don't expect either of them to land down here and stay down here. I think by the time we see their event come around a second or third time and we start using them in further game modes, that they are going to absolutely shine, but until that time, I think a B rating is satisfactory. Now, Tigger...
So he said that Socks and Powerline are there. I don't think Socks is that good. Do you think Socks is that good? I don't think Socks is... I think Socks is... I don't think Socks is as good as Sally or Jack. Could be wrong. And I definitely don't think that Eeyore and Eeyore is as good as either of them, but who knows?
And Eeyore hanging out right at the very edge of the tier list because we've seen some success with them in a maxed out, bolstered scenario at Gear 9, mainly in PvP. So they're going to hang out just barely.
A maxed out, tiered out Gear 9 team. Okay, so he's not willing to give that benefit of the doubt to the Mad Hatter and March Hare, but he's willing to give that to Eeyore and Tigger. Curious.
Barely two. And then in B+, we have two of the more fun characters that have come in the last few weeks, White Rabbit and Cheshire Cat. They are ridiculously fun because they're super solid. The White Rabbit, we've now found his, in my opinion, pretty official home on the very famous Ian team, replacing Oogie Boogie, for example, for those who are running that prior variation. He's calling to assist, he's putting out fear, he's putting out slow, all on turn 1. He's doing a great job, man. I absolutely love the White Rabbit, and if you want to get cheeky, go ahead and use him in PvP with some summons. Oof. Ooh. The Cheshire Cat is the first appearance of Mad really being used well, the new debuff on the Titans. As we talked about in the Alice in Wonderland breakdown video, they are really good because they can control the Titan and stop them from using their abilities outside of their basic, where they're either going to hit themselves if it's something like Two-Headed Rock Titan, or only throw their basic out onto the field. So that amount of control plus his ability to stack damage on his special A, it almost made him A tier. As you see, he's the #1 character in the B+ tier. However, there is one other mythical from that collection that does even better than him. Moving on up into the A tier. Here's where we start to see the best of the best, right? Everybody that's better than Cheshire and White Rabbit. Anybody surprised it's Caterpillar? Not really. Here has got multiple 9s and 10s in different rankings within the game. So they're all going to be solid investments. You can bring any of these characters to Gear 8, 7 stars, start using them anywhere and everywhere, and they're going to do well for you. Safest investments from here on up, obviously. But let's take a look at that.
All right, so I want you to just take a look. We have, and I probably should have. We got Princess. So let's look at my Princess team that I talk about. we've got two right here. We've got the worst two right here. I think everybody's going to agree that Ariel and Jasmine are pretty crap when it comes to princesses. Then I don't really see anybody else. But you look here, up here at A, you've got Wendy, who's not a princess, by the way. But starting at the back, you got Polka's down here. She's a princess. She's maybe the lowest great princess. You've got Belle up here in A. You've got Mulan up here in A. So yeah.
That butterfly that we were talking about, the Caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland.
Caterpillar. We all knew Caterpillar was going to be here. That's the reason I'm farming him. Probably, if you're going to farm one, it should probably be the Caterpillar. And then take everybody else with a grain of salt. But yeah, Max is up here. That's a little surprising. But then again, if you've played with Max, please let me know, because I'd love to know how really good Max is. But yeah.
Wonderland. He is ridiculous because 1, his multi-hitting basic is stellar. Number 2, the strength of that multi-hitting basic is unreal. Number 3, he's issuing Mad and controlling it and extending it regularly out on the battlefield, so both in a PvP and raid setting that becomes meta. He's putting out a tremendous amount of helpful effects in the raids, including very important effects in my opinion like Reflect. So I love what he's bringing to the table right now. He surprised us. We now see Max Goof come to the game here in the very top of the A tier, almost A+. I would not be surprised if he moved up into the A+ later on as we start seeing more and more people invest into him into Gear 8 and get him to 7 stars. The first go-around of the event, many people were disheartened because of how the unlock system worked, unfortunately, which the devs have acknowledged and have rectified. However, once you start getting that T9 double magic on adjacents every turn kind of thing rolling, like, the value of what he brings for magic and helpful effects as a support character may almost be unmatched. So Max Goof is probably the one that intrigues me the most out of the entire tier list, and that's including...
So keep that in mind. Max is free to play. But he's not easily open. The only way you can get him is through the event. So keep that in mind.
Lightyear, who is a PvP god and overall ranks higher. But as great as Lightyear is, Max Goof is the character that I next want to get to tier 9, 7 stars, and I hope that you go with me on that.
That's interesting that he wants Max Goof over Lightyear when they're both behind a... I mean, they're not... I mean, Max, we have the Lightyear event right now, and we don't... And you know, all you need to have Lightyear, all you need to have socks to be able to get more Lightyear is you need interstellar characters. Now, I forget the recommendation for Max, but we've had a second run of the Lightyear event, or maybe this is the third. I think this is second. But keep that in mind that he puts more value on Max than Lightyear. That's interesting. Also, some interesting notes. Shan Yu, can we... The guy has been up here since the game launched. He's been right here on A+ since the game launched. Same for Hades. Ian, not really surprised to see Ian here. Not really surprised to see... But who I am a little surprised to see here is Lily, honestly. Everybody else seems to fit pretty correctly. Just looking back here at the A, yeah, I feel pretty good about everybody. Everybody seems to be about in the right place. Little surprised to see. Does this mean that Caterpillar is above Queen of Hearts? And I'm a little surprised to see that Queen of Hearts has moved up this much just by having the White Rabbit in the game. Interesting.
That journey on Twitch. Every character here has a team, has a home, has a multi-purpose use. I think it's safe to say the A tier is great. But here's the problem that has happened in the last 4 months of the game. Even with reworking how the algorithm works on how I create this tier list, and I'll tell you confidently, it is long and complex. I was unreally disturbed at the fact that the S tier did not change one character. We did not have one character come on through that said this was a surprise awesome character. We almost got there with Lightyear. Almost did. But the only legendary to have landed in the last few months is the only character that qualifies for the S tier because of Alice's unique abilities, something to help battle in PvP against the long-time metas that have been lasting for upwards of a year in certain cases. We didn't have enough that surprised us because, yes, the S tier should be a legendary tier. It should be the tier that takes the longest amount of time to work towards. Your Zeuses, your Ursulas, your legendary characters, your Kiddas, etc. And everybody who's in the S tier deserves to be in the S tier. But where's the asterisk tunes? Where are the ones that make me go, huh, that's a surprise and a half. We got close with Caterpillar, and we got close with Max Goof. Maybe throw Lightyear in there. But when the #1 character in the game is still Merida, I think that might call for an outcry that the longtime players need to say Merida needs to be taken down a notch. And I know that's tough to hear, but hear me out. I think
I don't agree with that. Merida's free to play. Why not have a free to play character be the best character in the game? Why do we need to have, because listen, if you don't play princesses, I got no problem with you. As long as you're not playing Legendary Soup. But why is it look at who's going to be in the assessed here.
The fact that the number one character in the game is something that you can farm is a problem.
Why is that a problem?
It means that you've hit the top just by focused farming. And now having experience in more mobile games, plural, I come to see the problem with that differently. So I guess the only solution that they can do moving forward is they're not going to nerf her, because that would be a refund outcry, and nobody wants that. What I think is going to happen is that Tier 10, as it comes down the pipeline, is going to have to show a rise of new abilities that will be gunned specifically towards what has kept the meta the meta. Alice was the first step in that direction.
It baffles me that he just realizes this. Guys, Tier 10 is coming soon. Sooner than you want it to. It's going to come soon. It's going to come realistically, Tier 10 is probably going to happen between now and December. And honestly, it's probably going to be sooner than that. It's probably going to happen sooner than the beginning of December. It's probably going to happen about Halloween, honestly. So you've got maybe 6 weeks before Tier 10 hits. And the fact that he's saying this, of course they're not going to touch Merida. Of course they're going to make all of these the fact that he's doing this and he's saying this is like, hey, you people can't think for yourself. Don't you think the devs have already planned for Tier 10? Don't you think that they already know who's going to be in the top of this meta in 2 or 3 months? The next time he does a tier list, he's going to be like, I can't believe I said that. But, and this is one of the problems I have with Guess. Guess is a great guy. But he doesn't allow people to draw their own conclusions. And for me, that's one of the things I try to let people do. It's like he basically told you to only farm the Mad Hatter and the March Hare only if you're going to play with them together. Are you seriously going to tell me that once you see Alice, that what you've seen from Alice, that you don't think that Wonderland team is better than Soup? Even if it's Lego Soup with Alice? Even if it's Legendary Soup with Alice? Are you telling me that mythical team can't be competitive with princesses? Are you telling me that legendary that Alice team with that Alice in Wonderland team with Alice leadership doesn't just level the playing field for everyone? I kind of think it does.
Balancing the speed in the beginning of a battle, I love that ability, and it shows a really positive sign here for DSA. But where are the character abilities that punish you for being fast? Where are the character abilities that punish you for hitting multiple targets? We finally saw that happen with Snow White. I think we need to see it more. Where are the character abilities that punish you for having your team set up in a very specific manner or way? We need characters to come to the game to break these pieces of synergy rather than just continue to add on to them. So this tier list is ending a little bit differently.
So he's saying so I don't know when he did this video, but we know that Edna is coming out soon. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to make a bold prediction right here. I would be shocked if Edna doesn't do something like this. Because it would be so Edna, because Edna's like, no capes. Isn't that the essence of No Capes? Here, Edna's gonna be. I get a feeling that Edna's gonna be the nerf character. That maybe Edna is gonna be the one, and when he does, guests will go crazy because guests love him some Edna. Guests loves him some Edna. So you watch when Edna comes out, it's gonna happen. I'm just telling you, be ready for it.
This tier list is going to end with the idea that whatever the next big changes that comes to DSA, whether it's Club Expeditions Tier 10, whether it's a new raid, whether it's Gear Tier 10 and level 90 for characters, no matter what it is, it needs to break the meta. Soup is always going to exist, but we need to break the meta. We see them trying.
Isn't Soup the meta? Didn't you just say that Soup... Isn't Soup the meta? I mean, if you're saying princesses and it's because Merida is free to play, and that's why, and that's what makes the meta, guys.
We see
seriously?
it with Lightyear. We saw it with Snow White. We see it with Alice. But all it has done successfully is feed the meta rather than break.
See, this guy. The problem I have with guests is he said that he gave you this tier list of where people are, right? And then he told you that the dwarves suck. I mean, if you didn't see that, and if you can't draw your own conclusions, I can't help you. But he's saying that the second best person, that the top two characters in this game are a free to play character and a character in Snow and Merida and a character that you have to farm tunes that are absolutely garbage to have. What's wrong with that? He's saying break the meta. Why is he concerned about the meta when he's got PvP at rank 3? Why is he? I don't understand why he's saying this, that they need to break the meta when he's got PvP as the third most important thing. I mean, come on. Right?
The meta. Alice is the first character that almost got there. And I want to know from you down in the description, what do you think should come to the game that would do that? That would break the meta. Not Soup, but the metas. If you have an idea, throw it in the comments down.
So he wants you to comment, but he doesn't want you to, he wants you to break the meta. Isn't Soup meta? I don't know. I don't know.
Down below. Mm-hmm. So, yes, this is the September 2022 tier list. And if you go back and compare it to May, a lot of it is going to look the same because we haven't had game-changing changes yet. But I will say confidently, as a content creator and a player of this game for over 2.5 years now at this point, I really do respect the devs enough and have the confidence in them to do that. Let's support them. Put your ideas down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching today's September 2022 tier list for Disney Sorcerer's Arena. For those who do not know, my name is Guest, also known as It's Guest Gaming here on YouTube, and of course, as always, live multiple times a week on Twitch. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon, everyone.
All right. Final thoughts. I love Guest. I think Guest is a great guy. I don't necessarily agree with what he's saying. I love you like a play cousin. I wish I had supporters that just gave me hundreds of dollars to invest in characters, but I'm not that guy. Overall, I've told you as we were talking about this live, there are some real problems that I have with him. I think the dwarves are worse than he's talking about. The fact that he has Doc and B tier, I'm like, what? The fact that he has Doc above Horn King, I'm just like, and he's got him above Sally and Jack, and I'm like, what, really? And the fact that he basically told you only farm March Hare and Mad Hatter if you're going to play them together. Why would you? Guys, I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you, if you're going to farm a Wonderland character, the first person you need to farm is, without a doubt, Caterpillar. He's the best. I do agree with Guest that the Caterpillar is the best member of the non-Alice Wonderland team. And then unless you're going to play Queen of Hearts, I would say. I mean, what am I saying? Probably either way, you're gonna want the White Rabbit and the Cheshire Cat soon after. And based upon what the Mad Hatter and the March Hare bring, from them, but priority wise, I'm probably going Caterpillar, White Rabbit, Cheshire Cats, then March Hare or Mad Hatter in that order. Because you're not going to regret having Alice. You're not going to regret having Alice. This team, the Wonderland team, is better than the Snow White team, no matter what Snow White does. And like he's complaining because the meta is 5 princesses. He's saying that the S tier characters, that there's 5 S tier characters that are princesses. Yeah. But look who's also up there. Soup with Maleficent and Jerk and Zeus and Kidda and Beast and Ursula and come on. There's nothing wrong with Merida being good. And just keep in mind whether your name is Guest or whether your name is somebody else, when tier 10 comes out, this is all going to go away. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll be back when there's something else to talk about. Until then, have a good day. We'll see ya. Bye.